Hello everyone and welcome back to the 12 days of money tips. For day 3, we're going to talk about why you should open a high yield savings account. A high yield savings account is an online banking account where you can hold your savings. And with that online high yield savings account, you typically earn a lot higher of an interest rate compared to a traditional savings account through a larger bank such as Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo. The reason for this is because it is exclusively online. You typically cannot go to a branch or an ATM to pull this money out, and therefore they don't have the cost of paying employees or operating a branch, so they can offer higher interest rates. There are quite a few high yield savings accounts that you can choose from. Personally, I use Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and at the moment, their interest rate is 0.5%. But when I started with Marcus by Goldman Sachs, I believe it was starting at 2.75%, which is way higher than what my Bank of America savings was offering. And this is reason number 1 why you should open a high yield savings account. So you will earn more money if you are keeping your cash in an account. So if you have several $1,000s, like your emergency fund or even your sinking funds in your traditional bank account, either in your checking account or savings account with a bigger bank, then you're probably earning 0.01% interest or possibly nothing at all, which basically equates to pennies at the end of the month, and it's completely not worth it. I will say that obviously right now high yield savings accounts are not really high yields compared to what they used to be, especially even way before several years ago. However, if you can earn 0.5% versus 0.01%, then I believe it's worth it. So you can store your emergency savings in your high yield savings account and earn 0.5% APY, which is going to be a lot more than what you would get with 0.01% APY. For example, one of my accounts, my emergency savings in Marcus, has a total of $3,719 in there right now. And the interest that I've earned so far this year is $19.50. Now, I know that's not a significant amount. However, considering I have had a fairly low balance for most of the year, and this is a lower rate than what was offered previously, this is pretty good. Now, if I had kept this money in my Bank of America savings, then this probably would be less than $1 that I've earned. Then of course, the more money that you keep in your high yield savings account, the more you will earn in interest. Now, I don't suggest storing tons of money there. I personally don't like to have too much cash on hand, especially when the other options would be to invest that money. However, if you prefer to have a large emergency fund, then a high yield savings account is a great place to store that in order to allow your money to work for itself. Number 2 for opening a high yield savings account is that it's a great way to organize your money. If you're somebody like me who likes to have sinking funds, I have a total of 8 sinking funds. I keep these all separated in different accounts under Marcus by Goldman Sachs. So I have 8 different accounts, each with their own name. I name them by exactly what they are. So my emergency savings, medical and dental, car maintenance, etc. And each of these has a different balance, a different account number, and a different monthly savings. But they're all under one page, all under one roof with Marcus, and they're all earning the same interest rate. So it's a great way to organize your money if you're somebody who doesn't want to keep their sinking funds in cash. Typically, the bigger banks don't offer the option to create multiple accounts under one. And having the ability to do that is something that I really appreciate, so that when I spend the money in that specific sinking fund, I'm able to pull directly from that and know what is left over in that sinking fund. The third reason is that it makes your money more difficult to access. And this is great for people who are tempted to spend the money that they see in their banking account, specifically in their savings account, because your savings is there for a reason. It's typically there for an emergency fund, or you're saving it for something that you are going to purchase in the future. And a lot of times people will spend that money because they feel like they have it there and available to them. But if it's in a separate account, then it will be more difficult to access, and you'll have more time to think about spending that money before you actually do. And hopefully it prevents you from even touching it. With high yield savings account, the transfer time typically takes a couple of days, and some people may not like that, but it has never been a problem for me. But what happens is it takes a couple of days for the money to come from your bank account to your high yield savings account and vice versa. So it also takes a couple of days for your money to come over from your high yield savings account to your checking account when you want to replenish money or use that money. And that can help a lot of people to prevent spending it. Now, of course, you always want to make sure you have money in your checking account just in case if, something comes up and you do need to make a payment or have credit cards on hand that you would be able to pay off immediately if necessary. But having that extra step will help to keep the money saved. There are a lot of options out there for high yield savings accounts. I will put a list down below. Like I said, I use Marcus by Goldman Sachs. I've been using them for a couple of years and I have no problem with them. I will say when it comes to high yield savings accounts, what you want to look for is something that is FDIC insured. This is very important so that your money is safe in that account. That's just like any other bank account. I think it's important to avoid anything with fees. I never pay fees when it comes to bank accounts. That's actually why I canceled and closed my savings account with Bank of America, because they kept charging a fee for multiple reasons. They have different rules. But with high yield savings accounts, you can typically find something that doesn't require minimum deposits or minimum balances or any sort of annual fee. The interest rate is another area to look at. Different online banks have different rates. Some are really high, some are a lot lower. And just because a company is offering a higher interest rate, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better. You want to make sure it's a trusted company, trusted bank. There are also some banks that offer you a higher interest rate the more money you deposit and maintain in your account, but I personally don't like that. I like to earn the same interest rate with $1 or $10,000. I think that is more fair and something more reasonable for me, considering I keep sinking funds in there, so I'm taking out of them constantly, and I find that to work best. Also considering I don't save tens and thousands of dollars in cash anyway. These accounts are nothing to be afraid of. They are trustworthy and lots of people use them, but of course this is a personal financial choice that is up to you to decide, and obviously do your own research on it. Another thing is that high yield savings accounts are not investments. I just want to make that clear. This is just an account for you to store your money, and it is earning a rate that is higher than a traditional savings account. And those earnings you do have to pay taxes on. However, it's quite insignificant. Honestly, I don't even know if last year it even made a dent in my taxes, just because I'm not earning thousands of dollars or anything close to that. So if you're saving more money in your high yield savings account, then maybe you'll end up paying a little bit more in taxes, but typically I don't see a huge difference. The rates also fluctuate just depending on the state of the economy. So don't expect whatever you go into the high yield savings account with, do not expect that forever. So like I said, I started at about 2.75%. We're now down to 0.5 with Marcus, but in the future, this may decrease a little, this may increase as years go by, but it does fluctuate and you will be told about that. You should be informed by the bank via email, but you don't have to do anything with it. So these are very simple accounts to have. It's just like anything else. You can set up automatic transfers. You can pull from it whenever you need to. You shouldn't have to pay a fee for that, but it will take a couple of days. Again, these are FDIC insured and they're a great place to hold your money, whether that's sinking funds, emergency savings, or maybe if you're saving for a down payment on something, it's a great option. So do your research, find which one will work best for you. Like I said, I will link a couple of them down below that I would personally choose or trust to go with, and go from there. Comment down below if you have a high yield savings account and what you like about it, and also which one you have, just so other people can see which ones are most commonly used. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.